Hey traders, we're gonna look at the moves we have today. We had some interesting movements. This is the S&P 500. This is the daily chart. We're gonna do a multiple time frame analysis daily, 4 hour, 1 hour and 15 minutes with the pivot points. Every time we have a pullback on the indices, we see some buying coming in with good volume, which is pushing the indices to new highs. Today we had some news that shook the market a little bit. The ISM index came out worse than expected. We have a move down today. It hits the pivot point, the daily pivot point S2, and we notice some buying here with this candle with a long wick, a lot of volume. We decided to buy the S&P 500 here. Then we had an extension of the move. It hit our stop loss. But on this candle, we see more volume and another hammer or candle with a long wick, which is showing some buying. We had oversold conditions on the RSI and some divergence. So we decided to enter into our position again, stop below this level. We rode the move up all the way to the pivot point S2, and notice that it hesitated a little bit around this pivot point for half an hour. Then it went to hit the next pivot point. That's when some selling came in. We can see by the big amount of volume, and the move up stopped right there. We had another trade, another interesting trade in the bond, 30-year bond. We had an overextended daily move that went above the S3 pivot point, but we usually don't look at very small time frames. But if we go to the 5-minute time frame, we can see that some selling started coming in here. You notice this candle closes in the middle with a lot of volume. Is the candle with the most volume in the 5-minute chart. We entered short right here on this 2-bar reversal, and we rode the move all the way to touch the weekly pivot right there. So those are the only 2 trades we did today. And as you can see here on the S&P 500 future contract, it says open P&L $687, but P&L of the day only $400. That's because of the $287 loss on the first trade. This is the second trade, $250, just a pullback to the weekly pivot on the 30-year bond. There was another good trade today, but we didn't take that one. That was on gold. We already noticed last week that this pull down, as we mentioned in a previous video, was probably just to shake out the stop losses on this. The stop was just to hit the stop loss orders of any trader who was already waiting for a pullback and was repositioned for it. That happened, and then we had the pullback. Notice it got all the way to the close of the candle with a huge amount of volume on the last move down we had, as we can see here in the 4-hour chart. And that's why it's important to check on multiple time frames. That's when we notice some more selling. It hit the pivot point, the daily pivot point S3. Notice that the candle closes below the midpoint with a lot of volume. That was the interest. One of our students took the trade here. We didn't, because we were already busy with the other 2 trades, and he rode it all the way down, I believe, to the pivot point S2, and then he continued all the way down to the pivot point S3, and that's where it stopped. We're gonna wait and see if the correction on the daily chart gets not only to the 20 moving average like today, but to the 200 moving average. And if we see some selling here, we're gonna enter a short position for a short-term trade probably. And we're gonna keep a look on the indices also tomorrow to see if we see more selling. The move is overextended obviously, and in the 4-hour chart we can see there was a lot of selling going on today, especially on the Dow, on the industrial. The Nasdaq made new highs, and that's because it is benefiting from low interest rate right now. And so far the Federal Reserve seems to be on point when they are saying whatever inflation we are seeing is just transitory for the time being. So that's what we got for you today, and we're gonna keep an eye on the indices. If we see more selling tomorrow, we may try to enter more trades on the short side, unless the move it is overextended like today, in which case it is better just to wait for the reversal and try to make a trade for a pullback. So see you on the next video.